It's the 9th of August 2023. Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Morning Show. My name is Mary Oswero.
And I am Regina Ayenai.
Yeah, I'm glad that today you are able to join us. I'm so happy that you are able to join us. Keep tuning in. We are live on Facebook at Farmers Media, on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Twitter at Farmers with a Z _ media, and on our website www.afarmers.com. Keep sending in your comments. Today we have a very interesting and educative topic that we are going to talk about. It's kind of complicated, but it's very educative. So ensure that you stream live, you're still with us, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also you follow our Facebook page.
Yeah, once again, this is the Mid-Morning Show, the one and only show that takes us to the deep world of understanding of what really fuels our farms.
Yeah, this is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Welcome our farmer.
Yeah, make sure that you are live, you are with us right now. Make sure that you are sending any comments. If you feel like you have a burning question, send in your question, because we are here for you. We're here to educate you. We're here to learn together from you, and also you should also learn from us.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since I was here.
And we missed you. We missed you so much.
Nimepotea, but now I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm back with a complicated topic, but I hope by the end of this show, I would have learned a lot. We would have learned from you, and also you would have learned from us. Yeah,
and to all those farmers who are very interested about the soil testing and all other things concerning soil, here is the time. Here is the day we are going to talk about these kind of things.
Our topic today is importance of soil testing and nutrient management. Today we have come with it as a main topic. I think those other days we've just been mentioning soil testing and explaining why it is important, but now today we are doing it the broad way. We are bringing it out in a more lighter manner.
Yes, and we want to ensure that you understand about this soil testing, and it's not only about soil testing, it is even more.
Yes, so actually when I was away, there's something that happened yesterday. It's kind of political thing, but I had interest in it.
Okay, now tell us those kind of interests you got there. It must be something interesting then.
Disclaimer. I'm not supporting anyone.
Okay. As a journalist, you're not supposed to be support neutral. Any sides, yeah.
I'm so neutral. I'm not supporting anyone.
Okay.
So nobody should say that I'm supporting one side. The head of the defense forces. Okay, we have the president, but now the head of how do I put it out? His name is Koome. I think now when I'm saying Koome, you understand. I'm not talking about the Chief Justice. I'm talking
about for me, I thought that is Mother Koome, and I was, why are you saying he?
I'm not talking about the Chief Justice. This other one.
Okay, yes. Tell us.
The head of the defense forces is the president. Now we have someone who is also the head. And I'm sorry, I'm not here with the right title to give him.
Yes.
But I hope by now you know him. He was saying that the Azimio team, the previous over the days we've been having maandamano, the days that there was maandamano in Kenya, as the Azimio was spearheading that maandamano, the Azimio team. Now, and several people, according to what I know, several people had been killed in the maandamano, during the maandamano. So, Koome was Mr. Koome, do I call him Doctor or Mr. was saying that there's a new team. They hired bodies.
Okay.
And they claimed that those bodies are the ones who were killed in the maandamano. Yet the policemen didn't kill anyone during the maandamano. I don't know how true that is.
For me, I'm not supporting any side, but honestly speaking, we all saw how all these things happened. We all saw the shootings going on like live on air. Many places were recorded when the shootings were happening, and I don't really think that those kinds of bodies were hired. According to me, that is something logical. And again, how can a family just give away
the body of one of the family members in the name of payment? Anyway,
it doesn't make sense.
Anyone. We're just wondering how that can happen.
Yeah.
How can you just take your family member's body to a morgue, and then now you're paid now, until now they have hired the body. Anyway, things are happening in our country that some of them we don't even understand.
Yeah.
But we are still Kenyans.
Yeah.
There's nowhere we can go. Yes, so back to our topic, importance of soil testing and nutrient management. I don't know what comes to your mind as a viewer when I talk about the importance of soil testing and nutrient management. You know, over the days we've been having shows, and we've just been requesting the government, or even suggesting that they should help farmers test their soil, but we've never really expounded so much on soil testing. So maybe as a farmer, you're just watching and you're just there seeing that these people, they keep on repeating soil testing, and they don't tell us the importance. They don't tell us why we should test our soil.
Yeah, and
They
that's
just throw it there.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a story of a farmer. There was once this farmer. I read this story online, and I was laughing so loudly because it says that there was once this farmer, like he attended it was a meeting or something of it was for farmers. So when he attended this kind of meeting, they were told the importance of soil testing and everything else. So what he caught is that the importance of soil testing. So he knew that testing soil is very important for the health of his crops. So when he went to plant how can I say it? When it was the time for planting, he went ahead and started testing the soil. Like testing, anachukua anaweka kwa mdomo, and then like every time. So he did that for like 3 years or what. Every time he tests the soil like that, like he confused between testing and testing.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was doing that every now and then until one day he asked the other farmers, why am I testing, why are my crops suffering from different kind of things? They are not any more resistant to pests and diseases, and they are not growing healthy. Why are they like this? And the other farmers were saying, do you test your soil? And he was like, yes, I test it every now and then. I've never failed to test this kind of soil. And all the other farmers were like, show us how you test your soil. Maybe you don't know how to read the pH. And he was like, see, we just eat. Yeah. The other farmers were laughing, and
just eating.
and they started educating him. So don't confuse between testing and testing the soil.
There's testing for testing food, and then there's testing for testing the soil. I think there's a difference we pronounce it almost the same way. The difference is also the intonation and the spelling. But anyway, soil testing and nutrient management is vital for crop health and yield. For you to have a good harvest at the end of the season, you need to test your soil. Yes. So that is how we normally say it. But now today we are breaking it down.
Yeah.
It's the process of analyzing soil samples to determine its nutrient content, composition, and other properties, including contaminants, because also soil has contaminants. It helps farmers and gardeners make informed decisions about fertilizing and amending their soil. So the moment you are testing your soil, definitely you want to know the nutrient content. What kind of nutrients are is in my soil before I plant my crops? Yes, and if at all those if at all the soil has contaminants, because soil can also be contaminated. Yes, I know this is a surprise to many of you. Soil can also be contaminated. So in order for you to know the kind of contaminants that are in your soil, you need to test your soil. And also, in order for you to know the kind of nutrients that are in your soil. If your soil has nitrogen, what kind of plants can you plant? What kind of crops can you plant in that same soil? So that's why it's important to test your soil. But that is just basically the definition of soil testing. And it also helps farmers make informed decisions. Now that I've tested my soil and I know very well that my soil has nitrogen, maybe excessive nitrogen, how do I fix it? So
consider the fact that we are saying soil samples. You don't go around like testing the whole of your shamba, the soil of the whole of your shamba. Of course, you take a small sample and then you test it. So that is just what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
So
You can't taste the whole shamba.
yeah,
You just need a small portion.
yeah, you are going to waste a lot of time doing that.
And it's not even advisable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are going to the significance of nutrient management, and one of the significant is crop health. Just like the way you are taking care of your child, of just like the way a human being needs nutrition to remain healthy, that is how also plants do. So plants also require a range of nutrients to grow. Nutrient deficiencies or imbalances can lead to stunted growth. You see, when you give your plants small quantities of nutrients, they won't grow well, of course, because those nutrients are not enough for their growth. So due to this, they will develop stunted growth. You will wonder, why are my plants not growing this faster? Why are they in the same stage, in the same phase? This is because you are not giving your plants enough nutrients. And also, for your plants to grow well and to grow even faster, you have to consider their health.
So basically, just like a human being can be malnourished,
Yes.
the same way plants will also look malnourished.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen these maize plants that have turned yellowish.
Yeah, I've seen
Color.
that.
Those ones are malnourished.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday I was
Malnourished
reading.
maize.
Yeah, yesterday I was reading another article. It was from America. It was from a place called Loa. They harvested a lot of maize with dented spaces. All the maize was dented. So they were saying that this is a result of lack of enough nutrients. So for your crops to grow well, you have to ensure that they are getting enough nutrient supply. Just like the people get kwashiorkor because they don't have enough nutrients in their body or proteins. So as a result, they get those kind of diseases and they also die. That also applies to plants. If you don't give them enough nutrients, of course, they will die.
And also, definitely, if you want your plants to get enough nutrients, when you're planting them, you space them. That's just by the way, because the moment you plant them packed together, they'll be sharing nutrients and you not get good yields at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that competition is very unhealthy for your plants.
The next significance is optimal yields. Proper nutrient management ensures that plants receive adequate nutrition throughout their growth cycle. This boosts their productivity and ensures high yields. So the moment you manage your nutrients properly, maybe in your farm, you know that in my farm, there is high nitrogen in the soil. So there's a way I need to fix it. Because the moment you don't fix it, maybe you might go at losses. Your plants might end up burning in the farm. Maybe zinaweza chomwa na jua. Ama maybe if you add excessive nutrients, definitely your soil has some nutrients. But now if you add maybe fertilizer or something that adds excessive nutrients, it can also make your plant to burn.
Yeah.
I was looking at a certain farm. Was it yesterday? They had applied at the top. Do we call it the top coat or the top what? Fertilizer, the one that you apply after you've planted, after your
crops have grown,
germinated, and now it's starting to grow. There's a top coat that they apply. In that farm, they had applied excessive in one part, like the crops are lined, and then in one part, just in one root, there's excessive top coat on it. Definitely, it won't do well.
Yeah, your plant will burn
at the end of the day. So optimally, you have to manage your nutrients properly.
Yeah, just like the way I was talking about drip irrigation yesterday. Drip irrigation, I told you that there is a method called fertigation, whereby you put the fertilizer inside the water. So when the plants receive the water from this process of drip irrigation, they are getting enough supply of nutrients. So you can also practice that kind of irrigation to ensure that there is optimal yields.
That's an interesting one. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should listen to yesterday's show. It was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, another one is soil fertility. Over time, crops deplete the soil of essential nutrients. When the plants grow, they continue using these nutrients. The more they grow, the more nutrients they require for their formation of different parts, including the food. So when the plant continues to grow, it depletes the nutrients in the soil. So you ensure that you are giving the nutrients to the plant regularly, because replenishing these nutrients, they are always calculated to maintain soil fertility, ensuring that it remains productive for future crops. You see, sometimes when you plant your crops, you find that my crops needs this amount of nutrients. You put the specific amount of nutrients on those kind of crops. But the moment they grow, they continue growing, that process also requires more nutrients. So the more they grow, the more nutrients they consume, the more you need to apply more fertilizers or more organic fertilizers for your plants to continue growing.
Let me ask you something. There are always soils, areas that have soils that are really fertile. Do you think we should also still apply fertilizers to increase nutrients in such soils?
I think we should, because first of all, when you plant your crops there, of course you're saying that your soil is fertile, but it can be fertile, but it lacks nutrients. So when soil can be fertile, but still it lacks certain amount of nutrients. That's why you plant crops in a fertile soil and place nutrients. So when you put nutrients in this fertile soil, your crops will be able to grow well. And the more you put the nutrients in the soil, the more fertile your soil becomes.
But now, what if you put the extra nutrients and then now they become excess, and when you plant your crops, they start burning?
Of course, you have to measure the amount of nutrients before putting the fertilizer on the crops. You measure the nutrients first, because you can put a lot of nutrients and you find that your plants are overusing this kind of nutrients and they start developing stunted growth or even stop germinating at all.
They become malnourished.
Yes.
We also have we also sorry. I think at this point my director should be putting water here. Yes. We also have economic efficiency. By understanding the precise nutrient needs of the soil, farmers can avoid wastage and unnecessary expenditure on fertilizers. This enhances economic returns. I'm sorry, my director. So, by understanding the precise nutrient needs of the soil, farmers can avoid wastage and unnecessary expenditure. So this is what I mean. Definitely when you want to add nutrients to your soil, you use fertilizers, because the fertilizers now they have the nutrients. So the moment you know the kind of nutrients that are already in your soil, you don't need to go buy them again. Now you won't be using excessive expenditure. You won't be using extra money, because at the end of the day, your soil already has the type of nutrients. So hata kama ni kuongeza, you just add kidogo tu. So that one will make you not use a lot of money. So it's definitely economically efficient.
Yeah. So when applying the nutrients, also consider the economic. How much did you buy this kind of nutrients? Do you want to overuse them? Do you want to make sure that they are depleted just because you bought in this amount of money and you want all those nutrients to be used in the farm? So make sure that you are not overusing those kind of nutrients, because it can harm your plants. Yeah. And then the other one is environmental protection. Over fertilization can lead to nutrients runoff. When you put a lot of fertilizers in one plant or in various plants, and when it rains, the water sweeps all the fertilizer from the plants and takes it to the water sources. It can take it to the rivers, the lakes, or any water sources that are nearby. So when that happens, it can kill aquatic life. You find that the fish are dead, they are floating on the water, and people don't know the source of this kind of death. So through that, you are able to harm people's lives, their aquatic life, because people are going to consume that kind of water, and that kind of water, it contains these chemical fertilizers. So when they consume that kind of water, they develop problems which result to them going to the hospitals and spending even much money.
Actually, let me move a bit from our topic. There's something I feel that our farmers should also get to learn. When you have planted your crops, they have germinated and now they are coming out. And it gets to a point that you need to top dress them. I've already now gotten the right word, top dressing. You need to top dress them. Always consider irrigation. Yesterday, Ian was talking about drip irrigation. Always consider the type of irrigation that you are practicing, because the moment you top dress and there's no water, there's no irrigation, definitely your plants will not do well, because the top dress, they can't just evaporate without the water. They need the water.
Yes.
I think some farmers assume that the moment they're there, they just evaporate. They cannot evaporate without water. So you need to irrigate your crops well, so that the top dress can evaporate, so that it can be useful to your plant.
Yeah, and I will insist on nutrient management, because this will help curb these environmental issues such as the killing of aquatic life and also the poisoning of human beings. So when applying your nutrients, make sure that you're managing your nutrients in the right way. You're applying the right quantities of nutrients. Yeah.
And also proper nutrient management, it does not only benefit the current crop. You might assume that it will only benefit the current crops, the one that you planted now. It also has long-term benefits for soil health and environment. You can add, the moment you add your nutrients right now, maybe it will take time before before now you see some difference, that now the nutrients have disappeared. Let's assume that you've applied the fertilizers this season. Don't just expect that by the end of the season they're all swept away. Now you have to start afresh again. No, it will last long. Last longer.
And again, don't overuse this kind of I'll insist again, don't overuse this kind of nutrients, because you need this soil after your crops are fully grown. You need again to replace another type of crop in that field. So for your soil to remain fertile, you need to manage your nutrients wisely. You need to ensure that your soil doesn't lose also fertility. Don't underuse them or don't overuse them. Just make sure that you put the right amount or the right quantity.
So our soils also have compositions. We have soil compositions. You don't just see soil and you just leave it at soil.
Yeah, this is soil.
Yes, there's so many components that are there. So today we are going to explain to you about the soil composition. But as we continue, ensure you follow us on our Facebook page. We are live on Facebook at A Farmers Media. We are live on YouTube at A Farmers Media. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter at afarmers_media, and also visit our website www.afarmersmedia.com, so that you get to know the topics that we talk about each and every day. You get to learn each and every day. Even if you are not able to follow this live, you can always go back. Our videos are always there. You can always go back and watch them and learn. If there's something we talked about and you are not so keen, or you are not able to get you didn't get time to watch the live.
Again, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to send in your questions. Again, this is A Farmers Media, where we connect, learn and grow, and this is the mid-morning show. Continue tuning in, continue watching us. We are here for you, and we are here to educate you.
So under soil composition, we have mineral particles. They include sand, definitely, because when you hear soil, there's sand, there's silt, and there's clay. The ratio of these particles determines the soil's texture, which affects water retention, drainage, aeration, and root penetration. When I talk about retaining water, if at all you've ever seen the sandy soil, they can't retain water. Ukimwagia tu maji hivi
ni ukweli. And you know that the one crucial step towards the growth of crops is water retention capacity. How long will your crops retain this amount of water?
So definitely you can't plant in a sandy soil. You can't plant because they can't retain water. When you try to plant there, your plants will just be swept away when the water comes.
Yes.
And like the clay soil, zinakwanga zimeshikana, like they are so thick.
Clay soil, mostly they use clay soil for making pots or something. They have that ability of retaining water. That's why they use such kind of soil to make pots.
Have you ever seen where pots are being clayed?
No, I've never seen, but I've seen the traditional people using soil to create pots. Clay soil.
Building a house,
Building, I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Oh, in your place you use cow dung.
Yeah, we use also the clay soil to build the houses. No, I thought you are saying where they make the blocks for building houses.
No, I'm not
using clay. Oh yeah.
Because I was getting surprised when you people, you just use cow dung, you don't even use soil.
And so it is not also advisable to plant in clay soils.
But they can retain water. It's not advisable to. But what type of soil do we use in Kenya to plant rice? Is it not clay soil?
I think it's loam soil.
The one that holds so much water.
I don't know, but what I know is that people plant, everything is planted in loam soil. Even in science, when I read between these types of soil, I read that loam soil is the best soil to plant all kind of crops.
Hey, you can tell us in the comment section what type of soil do we use to plant rice?
Yeah, help us here.
I don't know why I just feel clay should be somewhere. I just feel clay soil should be somewhere, but you can tell us in the comment section the type of soil that we can use to plant rice. Maybe in future it can be a rice farmer.
Yeah, and then we have organic matter. Of course, in the soil, you have organic matter. These are organisms that live in the soil. Or it can be the decomposed plants or animals. Yeah, the ones that are living in the soil. So it enriches the soil with nutrients and improves its structure, aiding in water retention and aeration. For plants to grow well, the water that you provide to the plants must be aerated. It must contain oxygen. It must contain good things that will be able to ensure that your plant is growing well. And then it also have to have that water retention capacity. So these organic matter in the soil that are decomposed, they are able to provide nutrients to the plants, different kind of nutrients to the plants. Yeah, so it is also crucial that organic matter are always in the soil, and you will always find organic matter in the soil.
So when you talk about organic matter, definitely we mean maybe the animal waste. The animal waste are part of the organic matter. The dead leaves, because I don't think there's a farm that has no animal waste. Lazima there was a point that animals maybe passed through your shamba and left you the fertilizer, the manure there. The dead leaves. Definitely so many farmers have trees in their farms. So the moment your trees shed off the leaves, they decompose.
Yeah, there's also the dead animals. The dead animals die, especially when there is drought. And you find that those that die in different places, when they decompose, there is certain nutrients they live in the soil. Yeah.
Okay, when you talk about animals dying, don't think so big.
Yes.
Even rats die.
Yeah, even rats die. Anything can die. Even the small animals that you usually see in the soil, they pick the soil. I don't know how. That are still organic matter.
Yes, we also have water. Water acts as a solvent for nutrients, making them available to plant roots. The water content affects soil aeration and root respiration. So definitely when you're talking about farming here and soil testing, water has to be involved because it acts as a solvent for nutrients. The moment you apply the nutrients in your farm, just like I said before, you need to practice irrigation in your farm. So water will act as a solvent. Without the water, the fertilizers, they will not even evaporate. Do I say evaporate? They will not even get into the soil. So you need water to act as a solvent so that the nutrients that you've added through the fertilizers can get deeply into the soil so that your plants or your crops can grow well with good nutrients.
Yeah, I can give an example. You can make chapati using the flour only without water. Like you just mix the flour, you put the eggs, you put the salt, the sugar, and then mix it and then cook chapati. It can't.
You cook chapati with all those things?
Yes. So you can't mix all that and then tell me that I'm going to cook chapati without water. That can never happen.
Water is so necessary. You know, water is life. We need water in order for us to survive.
Yeah, so when also giving your plants, in the soil also it contains water. The water is the one that has that ability of dissolving these kind of nutrients, fertilizers, and ensures that the plant is gaining these kind of things. And then there is air. I was talking about the oxygen. Soil aeration is vital for root respiration. Good aeration ensures that roots receive enough oxygen and aids in the decomposition of organic matter. Nakwambia ni ngumu hiyo word. So decomposition of organic matter. So when the soil has air, enough air, there is aeration. So through this, the decomposition will take place well, hence ensuring that the plants are getting nutrients.
I think that is so clear. We also have soil organisms. So when I talk about soil organisms, definitely you already know those insects. Those insects that crawl. The ones that crawl in the soil, they're also the soil organisms. So we also have microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. They're also part of the soil organisms, and they play an essential role in decomposing organic matter and also fixing nitrogen and breaking down soil minerals to make nutrients available to plants. So the soil organisms really play a vital role. The bacteria, the fungi, they help in decomposing. We already talked about the organic matter, what organic matter is. We have the dead leaves, the dead animals, the animal waste. They're also part of the organic matter. And they also fix nitrogen. You don't really need to fix the nitrogen the current way, because those organisms can also help fix nitrogen. I know that you can fix nitrogen. There are other ways of fixing nitrogen apart from these organisms. I think there are, do I say chemicals?
Yeah, and also
they are used for fixing nitrogen.
Yes, there are also organisms called nitrofixing bacteria, bacteria that they fix nitrogen. At least that term came into my mind. So I learned something in the biology classes. Yeah, there is nitrofixing bacteria that can fix nitrogen.
So if you can't afford the nitrofixing bacteria, definitely you can use these organisms.
Yeah, and you know that there is also a difference between microorganisms and macroorganisms. That is something that many people don't get, right? They've been really observant in knowing what is really the difference between microorganisms and macroorganisms. So microorganisms are organisms that cannot be seen with the naked eye. Those are these organisms that are very invisible. These are fungi and bacteria. But macro, it can be touched. You can see it with your eyes. So microorganisms can only be seen through a microscope.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that we used in high school.
Yeah, because it magnifies the object, so you'll be able to see these kinds of organisms. And then we are going to go to common nutrient deficiencies and their effects. Of course, everything comes with their advantages and disadvantages. And
we also when you talk about soil testing, everything has results.
Yes. So, common nutrient deficiencies and their effects. One of the nutrients deficiencies is nitrogen. It is essential for vegetative growth. Deficiency leads to yellowing of older leaves and stunted growth. You know, when you provide your plants with excessive nitrogen or excessive nitrogen fixing bacteria, it also has its consequences of providing these kind of things. So through that, your plants will be able to develop the yellowing, and then the leaves will develop a certain thing at the. Have you ever seen these leaves of maybe bean? You see that they are in the leaves. You see the yellowing across the leaves. So that is the sign of excessive nitrogen.
Also the maize
that
I was talking about. When you see your crops, definitely the leaves are turning yellow. There is excessive nitrogen in them.
Yeah.
So you need to fix the nitrogen.
Yeah, but again, in the vegetative growth step, you have to consider that your plants require nitrogen in that phase. So vegetative phase, this is where during germination until it is time to take your, for example, the seedlings for sukuma wiki. So you first plant them, and then I don't know, you do what, and then you take them and go to the plant to the field. Now you plant it in small they are seedlings. Yeah. So you wait for them to grow.
The sukuma wiki, the only way that I've ever grown sukuma wiki is just growing them big. Just taking do we say, not even the small branches that has some small leaves, and then I just go plant them like that, and imagine they grow.
Yeah, that is now the vegetative phase, when they have started removing such kind of leaves. So during that phase, it is very essential for you to provide enough nitrogen for those kind of plants. But if you fail to provide enough nitrogen, there is a consequences. But also if you overuse these kind of things, then there is also a consequences.
Yes. Understand and underline the word enough, not excessive.
Yes.
We also have phosphorus. It's important for energy transfer in plants. Phosphorus is important for energy transfer in plants. Deficiency results in dark green or purplish leaves and reduce fruit or seed production. So the moment you use excessive phosphorus, that's when your leaves, the leaves or your crops, they turn dark green or purplish. When I talk about purplish, I mean purple. Some people might not be understanding what purplish is. It's purple, the purple color. Your leaves might turn dark green or purple.
Yeah. And
also it can also, when I talk about seed production, fruit or seed production, let me give an example with an avocado. There are those avocados that have small seeds and big seeds. You'll just realize the moment you cut it. So the moment you cut an avocado and then you realize it has a small seed or a big seed, definitely phosphorus was involved somewhere. It had an effect on that fruit and on that seed at some point.
Yeah. And another one is potassium. It is required for various plant processes. You know, when plants grow, they undergo a lot of processes before they mature. So when you apply a lot of not even a lot of potassium, excessive potassium in your plants, you find that your plants are starting, the tips and the edges of the leaves of your plants, they start to yellow or they become brownish. So through this, it will continue growing like that until all the plant they are affected. So when you find that all your plants are affected, you find that all the plants have this brownish on the edges or the yellowish on the edges. So when you find that this is happening, then this is as a result of using potassium.
We also have magnesium. Magnesium, the deficiency symptoms that are caused by magnesium, they include intervenal chlorosis. When you talk about intervenal chlorosis, this is what I mean. When you look at your plant, the leaves, definitely the leaves have veins. Now the veins turn yellowish. When they turn yellowish, now that's what we call intervenal chlorosis. Actually, this one only happens in older leaves. Check your maize plants after you've planted, and then just check the veins, the older ones, the maize that have already matured and they're ready for harvest. When you realize that they have yellow veins, just know that magnesium was involved, and now that resulted to intervenal chlorosis. Yeah.
And you know that magnesium is also found in the leaves of the plant. That is when the process of photosynthesis takes place, producing chlorophyll. So it is also found there. So when you apply again another magnesium, when this magnesium is found again in excessive quantities, then you'll be able to experience these kind of things. And then there is calcium. When I say calcium, what comes into your mind? Mary, tell me.
You say
calcium. Okay, it is calcium or calcium?
How do you used to pronounce it in high school? Because I'm hearing calcium here for the first
calcium.
Time. You say calcium.
Yes.
Anyway,
so it's calcium there. Yeah, calcium. What comes into your mind when you hear calcium, like in a human being?
Salt.
Why do you require calcium as human beings?
Is calcium like salt? Is salt part of it?
I don't really know. I just know that for us to strengthen our bones and teeth, we need calcium.
That's what salt comes into my mind, because salt helps strengthen our bones.
So just as the way we need this type of calcium in our bodies to strengthen our bones and teeth, plants also require calcium because it is necessary for cell division and the growth of the plants. So lack of A lack can cause distorted growth and dark spots on leaf undersides. So when your soil lacks calcium, of course your leaves will not the leaves of your plants will turn yellowish on the sides, and also will experience a lot of losses because your plants are not growing well. They are not strong enough to produce good harvest. Yeah, so it is crucial to ensure that your plants have enough calcium.
I think I was because even in plants we also have salt. Okay, I don't know if in my village that's how we just call it and it has a name because in my place after you planted your maize and they have grown, there's a point that I normally hear people saying that we should apply salt, and I used to think that it's salt, this one that we use for cooking, but then I realized there's another type of salt for plants.
Then maybe that is calcium now. So you ensure that your plants have this calcium because you can't have your baby not getting any calcium at all cost because he or she will end up without teeth. Akianguka tu kidogo hivi the teeth are gone. Nini or amevunjika mkono. That is what you find mostly in people who don't have enough calcium in their bodies. They are very weak in a way that even if they fall down, they break very easily.
We also have sulfur. Plants deficient in sulfur might show light green coloring in younger leaves. You might think that your leaves are healthy because now they are light green. You don't understand why they are light green. Or even me as a child, when I could see a light green leaf in our farm, I would just think that now they are growing well. I didn't know it's as a result of sulfur. So excessive sulfur definitely it makes the leaves of your crops to be light green coloring in younger leaves, and that is they say that is bad.
Yeah, because sulfur if you put sulfur into your plants, if you ensure that your plants have that sulfur, then your plants are definitely going to produce a green coloring matter, that is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll enables the plant to have that green. The way you see all the plants are green. Most of the plants have these green leaves. This is as a result of chlorophyll synthesis.
Yes. We also have zinc. We have zinc, manganese. These ones now they are a collection. Now this collection, I think their effect is just one. We have zinc, we have manganese, we have boron, we have copper, and molybdenum. These terms mostly we used to hear them in chemistry. These are trace elements needed in smaller amounts but equally essential. Deficiencies can cause a range of symptoms, definitely, from stunted growth to leaf discoloration and also poor flower or fruit development. I think we've mentioned most of that on the other ones that we talked about. So this collection, there are also elements. They can cause leaf discoloration, poor flower or fruit development. Yeah.
And then I also forgot to mention iron, which is vital for chlorophyll synthesis. Deficiency can cause yellowing between the veins in young leaves. So lack of iron in plants can cause deficiency in young leaves. You find that the leaves are not growing, they are just remaining the same. They are not healthy. You find that they are discoloring in a way that they are not green. They are not green, they are not yellow. They are just there. So that is a result of lack of iron.
Okay, I think at this point we need to take a short break. We breathe kidogo and then we come back with the advantages, because definitely we have the advantages of soil testing. That's why we always encourage you to test your soil. So definitely there are advantages.
Yeah.
So keep following us on our social media platforms. We're still live on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Facebook at Farmers Media, on Twitter at Farmers with the Z_media, and on our website www.afarmers.com. Ensure you keep following our conversation. Our main topic is still the importance of soil testing and nutrient management. So we are going to take a short break and we'll be back with more.
The heart of any shamba lies in its soil. Because soil is so precious, it needs to be managed really carefully. A good place to start is with a soil test. This will tell you how healthy your soil is, its pH levels, what type of soil it is, which crops you can grow in your soil, and advice on which fertilizer is best to use. If you follow the soil test recommendations, it can boost your yields. So, how do you take a soil test sample? Firstly, dig up soil samples. Use a soil auger or panga to take a sample 1 feet deep in a zigzag pattern across your shamba. You will need at least 10 samples. Mix all the different samples together in a bucket. The soil is now ready to be scanned and tested. You can find out about how to get your soil tested by contacting your extension officer. Alternatively, contact a Ministry of Agriculture research station near you. A soil test costs about as much as 1 bag of maize. You should do a soil test at least every 3 to 5 years.
Welcome back to the mid-morning show. This is still a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. I'm glad that you're able to be with us up to this point. Keep tuning in. We are live on Facebook at a Farmers Media, on YouTube at a Farmers Media, on Twitter at a Farmers with the Z_media, and on our website www.afarmers.com. My name is Mary Oswero.
And I am Regina Aenai. This is our Farmers Media. This is where we connect, learn, and grow. Once again, continue tuning in. Follow us on social media as Mary just mentioned right now. And send in your comments, your questions. Make sure that you are following up with us.
Before we went for a break, we were talking about the importance of soil testing and nutrient management. We had already tackled the significance. We already explained the soil composition and also the common nutrients in the soil that maybe might affect your plants in one way or the other. And now we were moving to the advantages. So if at all you didn't get that bit, if at all umeingia kuchelewa kidogo, you can always go back and watch so that you get to understand our topic as we move on. So we are going to tackle the advantages as we continue, because we always say that everything that has a disadvantage must always have an advantage. But for today, soil testing has so many advantages that we need to tell you about.
Yeah, and we've been insisting on regular soil testing without telling you the advantages. But now we are going to head on to the advantages of regular soil testing. One of the advantages is optimized fertilizer use. By understanding the exact nutrient profile of their soil, farmers can apply the right type and amount of fertilizer, avoiding wastage and reducing costs. So if you are a farmer, make sure that you have done enough research. You have researched on how to on the right quantities of the fertilizer to apply in your farm. So you ensure that I know this is the type of fertilizer I need to apply to my farm. This is its effects, and I'm going to apply this amount. So when you decide like that, make sure that it is the right amount. Measure it in good quantities.
And also, after you've tested your soil, definitely you'll know what kind of nutrients are in my farm and what do I need to add, so that you just don't add something that is not necessary, or so that you don't add a nutrient that already exists in your farm.
Yeah, so regular testing should be upheld because you will be able to understand the nutrient profile of your soil. So when you understand it, you know that my soil has this nutrient profile, so I need this amount of fertilizer or nutrients. So with that, you will be able to have a consistency in your system for applying fertilizers.
Yes, another advantage is increased crop yields. Definitely, when we started, I already said that the moment you test your soil, be sure of a good harvest. The moment you test your soil and you just know that after testing my soil, now this is the type of soil that I have, this is what I need to have in my farm, and these are the type of crops that I should plant here, you'll have excessive yield. So knowing the soil's and nutrients content allows for precision farming. This can lead to enhanced crop growth and higher yields. The moment you've already tested your soil, you know the kind of things you need to add. You don't need to go and add excess nitrogen and you have nitrogen in your farm. At the end of the day, you will have a bountiful harvest. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, another advantage is improved soil health. You know, when you regularly test your soil, you'll be able to identify the imbalances in your soil, the imbalances in the pH of your soil, and then or organic matter deficit. If they lack organic matter, you'll be able to identify, and then this helps farmers to take steps to improve overall soil health. So when you regular test your soil, you're able to identify the pH. If the pH is correct, if it's not correct, you'll see that the pH of my soil is not in a balanced situation. So by identifying this imbalance, you are able to correct this soil pH. And then if they lack organic matter, you see that my soil doesn't contain organic matter. I've tested it and I found that there is no organic matter, there is no presence of organic matter, or the organic matter are very few. Hence, there is no nutrients being supplied to the soil. So when you identify those kinds of things through this regular soil testing, you are able to know the right time to apply the nutrients into your soil.
Actually, what I can add on regular soil testing, the moment you've tested your soil for the first time, you already know what your farm lacks, and then you add it. Then you plant your crops, maybe it's that season, you harvest. I'd advise that you test again, because you never know what these crops came with, what these crops have added in your farm. You never know the effect of the fertilizers or the organic matter you applied in your farm. So it's good so that you test your farm regularly, so that you don't go at losses that the first time you planted your crops, you had a bountiful harvest. Then now you believe that I had already tested my soil, let me just plant my crops again. But you plant your crops and maybe there's something or there's a nutrient that was added to that farm during planting that made the nutrient more excess, and it can also lead to burning of your crops. So I'd advise that you regularly test your soil.
Yeah, because this can help you avoid many disadvantages, avoid many problems that may affect you as a farmer. So through regular soil testing, you are able to curb a lot of challenges.
Yeah, because we are also advocating for mental health for our farmers. Yes, we don't want our farmers to feel so bad. Unapata mtu amekuwa depressed because now he used a lot of money when planting crops, and at the end of the day he got nothing. Unakuwa depressed because of the money that you already spent in your farm.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you can't blame your farm, because the farm is just there. Yeah, it was your fault. You didn't take the initiative to test your soil before planting your crops.
We also have economic savings. Precision in nutrient application translates to savings. Farmers buy only what they need and achieve better yields, thus maximizing returns. I think you already mentioned that and explained the big part of economic savings in the previous points. The moment you've already tested your soil, you know what you need and what you don't need. You only buy what you need. Anything that you find out there, you only buy what you need, and in that way you save lots and lots of money.
Yeah, and again, there is environmental protection. I talked about it in the previous points. I was talking about how you can prevent environmental pollution by using of excessive fertilizers and excessive nutrients. So through this, when you test your soil pH, you are able to identify the right amount of nutrients and fertilizers that your crops require. So through that, you are not able to apply excess. So you are protecting environment by doing that.
Yes. Also, we have early problem detection. When I hear early problem detection, I just remember the drones, because you can use drones in your farm to check whether there are pests and diseases in your farm. So by identifying issues like pest infestations and disease pathogens or contaminants early on, farmers can take proactive measures before these problems escalate. So it's better you test your soil, you know what kind of problems are in your farm, so that the moment you test your soil, you will know my farm has this type of a problem. My soil lacks nitrogen, my soil lacks this type of nutrient. So you know the lacking is a problem. So testing your soil helps you detect it early enough. Don't wait so that until it's late after you've planted your crops and then now you start regretting.
Yeah. And also, you find that another advantage is better water management. There are other types of soil. There are other types of soil testing that can show you the soil retention capacity, the soil water retention capacity. And also, you will know that this soil is capable of holding this amount of water. This helps farmers to make informed decisions about irrigation, leading to water conservation. So, you are able to make a decision that is the right thing that will help your plants grow well. Your plants will be able to have enough water.
Actually, you have different types of irrigation systems. So it depends with the type of soil that you have in your place and also where you get water. There are some areas that depend on rain. Yeah, there are some areas that fully depend on rain. The rainy areas where each and every time they always have rain. Definitely when you plant there, you don't need to harvest water for irrigation because it will be raining in your farm every now and then. And there are some places, there are some hot areas that they only depend on water from the rivers. So in those situations, they mostly use the drip irrigation.
So through this water management, you're able to conserve enough water for your future planting practices. And also this soil test can help you identify what plants, what type of the soil is this. Is it able to retain this amount of water? What is its capability? So if I know that it is raining, yes, my plants are getting water. You can't know that my plants have enough water. You can't know that your plants are getting enough water supply. So through this, some soil test can tell you that your plants have this amount of water. It is capable of holding this amount of water. So you will know that my soil can retain much water. So you don't have to water your plants. But if your soil can't retain water, then you need to water them.
Yes, and to our final final advantage, we have tailored crop selection based on the soil's profile. This after now you've tested the soil. Farmers can decide which crops would thrive best in that particular soil, optimizing production. So after you've tested your soil, definitely you'll know in this type of soil I can only plant maize. Maize can survive here and not maybe cowpeas. Maybe in some areas or maybe in your farm, after you've tested your soil, you realize that watermelon can do well there and not maybe maize. So you know what kind of crop to plant and what kind of market you'll take them to, so that you just don't plant maize and then you go at losses and you're the one who didn't test your soil. So another advantage is knowing what type of crop you will plant on that particular soil after the test soil results are out.
Yeah, because there are different types of crops. There are other crops that take a lot of nutrients, a lot of water in the soil, and there are others that have this minimum capacity. Then so we are going into the influence on decision making for farmers. How does soil testing influence the decision making for farmers?
Actually, before you continue, let us remind our farmers and our viewers, we are still live on Facebook at Farmers Media, on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Twitter at Farmers with a Z. And you talk about with the Z, Z is after the R. At Farmers with a Z_media. And also you can click on our website www.afarmers.com.
Yeah, this is a farmers where we learn, connect, and grow. And this is where you can be able to identify different opportunities. Maybe you can be able to invite an expert here and you really need more information on that. You will mark that expert and say, I need the number of this expert. I need to talk to him. So through this, Farmers Media is educating people on different ways of identifying opportunities. Yeah, so back to the topic. The topic was how soil testing influence the decision making for farmers. One of the things is fertilizer applications. Farmers can determine which nutrients are deficient and choose the right type of fertilizers to apply. When they are testing the soil, they know that maybe my soil doesn't have calcium. So when they identify that the soil doesn't have calcium, they are able to go to the shop, buy this calcium and apply them and supply them to the plants. So fertilizer application is a form of informing farmers that plants require this amount of fertilizers?
Actually, after you realize that after you've tested your soil, definitely at the expert, because you can't test your soil by yourself, an expert has to help you in that. They will definitely give you the results. And they'll tell you what lacks in your farm. That's why we always encourage that you visit an expert whenever you want to practice farming. Because that expert, after testing the soil, he or she can easily explain to you what lacks in your soil and what you can buy and add to that soil so that the soil becomes better. So that's why we encourage, don't just apply fertilizer, or don't just get the results and not ask the experts what you should do next. Don't just assume things. Maybe now the experts have explained and you're not even waiting for the explanation to end. You just know that my farm doesn't have calcium. Let me just go buy fertilizers that are full of calcium and then I just apply them on my farm. It might not work for you. It's better you consult with an expert to tell you the amount that you'll apply on your farm. We also have soil amendments. Issues like pH imbalances can be addressed by adding specific amendments like lime or sulfur. In the previous point, you talked about talking with an expert or asking for an advice. You can only handle some issues with the help of an expert. After getting the results of your soil testing, after the results are out, definitely now you know, I need specific amendments like lime or sulfur. We talked about sulfur at some point, to add to my farm or to my soil so that I can get proper yields.
And again, there is crop rotation. We have been talking about crop rotation a lot from the previous shows. It was even a topic. This is where you rotate different kinds of crops from one point to another. For example, you decide to plant legumes and then you plant other type of crops. But anyway, crop rotation determines the soil health of the farmers. When you you are practicing crop rotation and then you are going to test the soil. So based on the soil health, you are able to determine if you are going to grow legumes to fix the nitrogen or any other types of crops to break the cycle of the diseases and pests. So through this, you will identify after testing the soil that I'm going to plant legumes here because I've realized that there is a lot of nitrogen in this piece of land. I'm going to transfer the wheat from this part of land and take it to the other part of land so that the legumes can be able to consume the nitrogen that is here, because legumes have they consume a lot of nitrogen, and so they also act as a way of fixing nitrogen into the soil. So when you take the wheat from here and then you take it to the other part of the field, that is crop rotation. So when the legumes are planted in the place of the wheat, they are able to consume the nitrogen that is there, because wheat do not consume a lot of nitrogen compared to legumes.
Okay, let's talk about irrigation. Knowledge about the soil's moisture content and water retention can guide irrigation schedules. Definitely after they've tested your soil, they'll tell you the amount of water that your soil can hold, or the amount of water that is already in your soil. So after knowing the amount of water that is already in your soil, it helps you know the type of irrigation system or method that will help you easily. When there is excessive water, maybe you can not irrigate like frequently because your soil is good. But the moment your soil doesn't have enough water, you have to irrigate. Maybe you can use drip irrigation. When you drip irrigation, inatoka polepole, but it's a good method of irrigation. So knowing the kind of the amount of water that your soil can retain will influence the type of irrigation that you will practice as a farmer.
So another one is land management. Over time, consistent soil testing can inform decisions about fallow periods, tilling methods, or organic farming practices. So regular soil testing provides a wealth of information that can significantly influence a farmer's decision-making process. It is also a proactive approach to agriculture, ensuring that the soil remains productive and that the crops are thriving. So land management, it is when you're managing your plants, make sure that you consistently test your soil. Test it today, test it after maybe 3 weeks, test afterward. So when you consistently test the pH of your soil, you're able to identify if I'm still going to grow this kind of crops, if it has enough nutrients, that I'm going to manage my land in a way that I'm going to plant different kind of crops in different types of soil.
So those are some of the advantages. Maybe we might not have said them all, but those are some of the advantages of regular soil testing. We've talked about increased crop yields, economic savings, because which farmer do not want to save his or her money. We talked about tailored crop selection, because now at the end of the day you definitely know what type of crops that you'll be having in your farm, what type of crops that can do well in that type of soil. Yes.
And through soil testing, you can be able to analyze both the chemical properties of the soil or the physical properties of the soil. It's not only other aspects, but you can be able to analyze this kind of stuff.
Yes. Now we have an overview. Do I say an overview? We have an overview of the process of soil testing. Definitely, the soil testing process must always have an overview, like the sample collection, the sample submission. So we are going to break it down into smaller explanations so that you get to understand more about it. So first of all, let's talk about sample selection. When I talk about sample selection, this is what I mean. First of all, under sample selection, you have selection. Choose random spots in the area you want to test. If there are areas with noticeably different growth or appearance, sample them separately. Let's take, for example, you planted maize in your farm, and then it's like a big farm. On the right side, the maize is doing so well on that side, and on the left side, the maize is not doing so well. That is one way of identifying. Now you've already identified that when you plant maize in my farm, the right side is doing well, the left side is not doing so well. So you have to test your soil on both sides. You first test your soil on the parts that the maize are doing so well, so that you know what kind of nutrients are there, and you test your soil on the side that the maize is not doing well, so that you also get to understand why the maize is not doing well and what you need to add in order for your maize to do well next time.
Yeah, and another one is depth. For most crops, take the depth of 6 to 8 inches. That is for most crops. But also you find that for lawns or gardens, a depth of 4 inches may suffice. So when you're growing your crops, make sure that you are putting a correct depth. Mostly, we have seen that most crops are grown in the depth of 6 to 8 inches. So when you ensure that your crops are not too deep and they are not also too shallow, because when you plant crops too shallow, then they will be blown by the wind very easily. When the wind blows, it will uproot your crops. But when you put your crops, when you plant them in a very longer depth, they'll struggle while germinating during the germination process. Yeah, because they are trying to find a way into up the ground. So through that, you are able to consider the depth of the depth of the soil. The depth of the soil. Yeah.
We also have tools, but before I talk about tools, let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen how soil is being tested, like how the sample is being collected?
Honestly, I've never.
You've never?
I've never, but we've practiced it in high school during the chemistry lessons.
So you have.
Yeah, but I don't know if that is the same way as they test in the shambas or in the farms.
It's just the same.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just the
we used to use that indicator, the blue indicator and the red indicator.
Now you're talking about chemistry, but now when you go to the farm, definitely you're going to take soil sample. I've seen them using a certain tool. They dip it inside the soil, because definitely you have to know the nutrients inside, and then it comes out with some sand.
Wow.
Some soil. Now that is the soil that they use for soil testing.
Maybe I should visit one of these farms one day. Maybe you can invite me to your farm if you have a farm, so that like I want to see it physically. I've seen it online, but I want to see it physically.
Okay, now I understand.
So if you have a farm and you are planning on testing your soil, maybe you can invite me one day and I see it physically, and now come here confidently now telling you how this soil testing process is done physically.
Okay. When you talk about tools, I use a soil probe, auger, or shovel. Ensure tools are clean to avoid contamination. So, when you want to test your soil, at some point you'll use a shovel. Though the one that I've seen, they were not using a shovel. They have a tool. I think next time I'll get a picture of it and show it to our viewers. But for now, you can use a shovel. And ensure that shovel is clean. Let it not come with other contaminations that are already there. Now you want to test your soil. You'll even get results that are not for your soil. So ensure it is clean and free from contamination so that you get the accurate results after the testing of your soil.
Yeah, and then we have a composite sample. This is you make the soil from different spots to create a composite sample. This also helps to getting a representative sample of the entire area. So when you are measuring your soil, you ensure that you have gone to different parts of the area. That is called random sampling. You can go to random places in your land, and then take the soil from this part, go to the other end, take the soil, go to the middle of the garden, take the soil, go to the end, take the soil, and then you mix them, and then so that you can get this is the representative of my farm. So you are able to test that sample and know if it requires nutrients, if it doesn't require nutrients, and also identify if it is fertile. But if you say that you just take the soil sample from one place and then that is it, you might find that other parts of your land is not fertile. So make sure that you are taking the sample from every part of your land. Not every really, but randomly. You just pick randomly in specific parts.
Okay, let's talk about drying. I think drying, this one is going to surprise most of us the way it surprised me. After you've collected the sample, ensure you air dry the soil, but avoid direct sunlight.
How?
After you've collected your sample, you have to dry it. Unaona venye mahindi huwa inaanikwa, but now the difference is that we dry our maize in direct sunlight, but now this one you have to put it under a shade. Yes.
Wow.
You have to put it under a shade.
Okay.
So that it dries slowly, not now on direct sunlight, so that it dries slowly before the testing.
Yeah. Wow, that is nice then. But that is a lot of work.
It's not a lot of work because you just have a small sample of soil from your farm. It's not even a lot of work, and then you just take a small maybe a small bag or a small cloth, and then you put the soil sample on it under a shade.
Okay.
It's so easy.
At least I've learned that today.
Even my viewers are surprised.
I've learned that today. I just thought you just pick the soil and then you measure.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Another overview is sample submission. And that includes packaging. You fill the sample in the provided container or a plastic bag. Like make sure that you have filled this, you have been provided a container or a bag. You fill the soil in that container or the bag so that it will be very easier to determine the nutrient components in your soil.
Actually, you do that after drying. Don't just take the wet soil. Like they're not able to test wet soil. It has to dry, but not on direct sunlight. So after packaging, let's talk about information, which is also under sample submission. Fill out the submission form detailing the type of crops being grown or planted. As a farmer, you already know what type of crops you normally grow in your farm. The farm that now you are taking the sample of soil from. So you have to fill out. They normally have a form because for you to get your correct results, your right results, so that they don't confuse yours with another person, you have to fill a form so that they know this type of farmer I'll give out this form and this type of soil, so that they don't confuse, because so many farmers test their soil.
Yeah.
So ensure you fill that form, and in that form you put into details the type of crops that you normally grow there, or the type of crops that you plan to grow. Maybe you've been growing beans, but now you want to change and grow watermelon. So if you want to change, ensure you write it down as watermelon. You plan to grow watermelon, and you've been growing beans, so that they know how to help you after getting the results.
Yeah, and sample submission after involving these processes such as packaging, information, collecting information, and then you now take to shipping. That is sending the sample to the lab, to the soil testing lab. You can just tell me that you have collected it, you are going to test it yourself, yet you've been encouraged to take it to a testing lab. Make sure that you are taking that sample to a testing lab so that you get the accurate result of what really is needed.
Yes. We also have lab analysis. In the lab, they do different things. Now we're just going to break it down into bits so that you get to understand. Under lab analysis, we have physical analysis. This determines soil texture in the proportions of sand, silt, and clay. The moment you've taken your soil to the lab, definitely they have to feel the texture.
Yes.
So when they're feeling the texture, they want to know the amount of sand that is in your soil, whether the amount of silt, and also clay. Maybe you have a sandy soil, they have to feel the texture so that they know next time when they want to advise you what kind of crops can you plant in such soil. Yes.
And then there is the pH, that is determining the alkalinity or the acidity of the soil. So you make sure that in the lab the pH is being measured so that you know, is my soil so acidic? Does it have so much alkalinity? So you're able to determine, and then you'll be able to know what type of nutrients or fertilizers to apply in this kind of farm.
We also have nutrients analysis. I am talked about macro and micronutrients. So this is where we get the macro and the micronutrients. So measures macro and micronutrients are like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, zinc, boron, manganese, copper, etc. All these are analyzed from your soil.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, when you say micro, I was talking about microorganisms and microorganisms and macroorganisms, but now we are talking about macronutrients and micronutrients. So in terms of nutrients, when you say macro, these are the quantities of nutrients required. So in macro we require large quantities of nutrients, but in micro we require tiny quantities of nutrients. The quantities that are specific, but in micro the nutrients are really needed. But micro, they require a specific amount of nutrients. They are not many nutrients. So we go to organic content. It determines the amount of decayed plant and animal residue in the soil. So during measuring the organic matter, you are able to determine, are there any organisms in my soil that help improve the soil fertility? If they are not there, then you need to do something about it.
Finally, other tests. Depending on the lab and the requirements, other tests like electrical conductivity, we do the electrical conductivity for salt content. You have to know the content, the salt content that is in your soil. So this falls under other tests, not the soil testing. Now we have other tests like electrical conductivity. Or tests for specific contaminants might be conducted. So if you want to know the amount of salt that is in your soil, you have to do the electrical conductivity to determine the salt content that is in your soil, and also in order for you to know the specific, because definitely there are contaminants in your farm. Now you have to know the specific contaminants that are in your soil. That's why we encourage also other tests apart from soil testing.
Yeah, once again, we are live on Facebook at Farmers Media, in YouTube at Farmers Media, on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. Make sure that you follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Farmers Media, where we connect, learn, and grow. And now we are going to the report review. Once the lab completes the analysis, they will provide a report detailing the soil's property and nutrient content. This is where now you get the lab results. And then the report often includes recommendations and the type on the type and amount of fertilizers or amendments needed. So you are able to they will tell you that this is the result that you've gotten from your soil. This is what you need to do. They'll tell you the amount of nutrients required, or if your soil doesn't require any nutrients, they will tell you that there is these organisms that have been found in your soil. They are healthy for your soil, or they are not healthy for your soil, and you need these kind of chemicals or pesticides to apply into your soil.
Always be keen on the recommendations and ensure that you follow them and you act on them so that you definitely get good results after acting on them.
Yeah, because the person who tested your soils knows much better than you do. So when he or she tells you that I wanted to use this type of fertilizer from this company, it really helps. So you should do that. You should do exactly what he says. Don't go like do your own things and say that I know much better than him. Make sure that you are following the recommendation correctly, so that even if anything happens to that farm of yours, then the person who recommended will be responsible for it.
And here she can advise.
Yes.
Yeah. You also have decision making based on the results. Farmers or gardeners can make informed decisions on fertilization, pH adjustment, and other soil management practices. Definitely, after the results are out, the experts will advise you. So after the advice, you're the one to make the decision. They can't force you to do it. So you're the one to make the decisions on whether you're adding fertilizer to your farm, whether you're adjusting the pH, whether you work on the adjustment of the pH, and also whether you're going to work on the soil management practices. Then they just give you the results and then they advise. Then now you as a farmer, you take the initiative to follow the instructions that you have been given in order for you to, at the end of the day, harvest bountiful yields.
Yeah, and then there is the implementation. Just as I said, always follow the recommendation. Apply the recommended fertilizer or soil amendment. This will help your crops to grow well and also improve your soil health. So if you decide that you are going to follow your own rules, then that is for you. If you experience losses, if you see that your plants are not growing, you have planted the seeds and you find that there is no single seed that has grown, that is according to you, because you didn't follow the recommendation from your lab analyst.
So that's why I'm encouraging you to follow the recommendations.
Yeah.
And also follow the advices that you're given by the experts.
Yeah, because I've seen farmers going through a lot of such things. They are planting their seeds in the soil, but they are not growing. This is as a result of not following some other recommendations. Maybe your lab analyst told you that your soil is not fertile. You need to apply this kind of fertilizers. You need to provide nutrients for your soil, but you ignored it. You go ahead and planted this kind of seeds. Of course, they won't be able to grow because they don't have enough requirements for them to grow.
Yes, we also have regular testing. We mentioned it before. Soil conditions can change over time due to various factors, including cropping patterns, weather, and management practices. Regular soil testing, typically every 2 to 3 years, helps in monitoring these changes and adjusting the practices. You already say that you should regularly test your soil. You can do it maybe after 2 to 3 years, so that you also know, because weather can also make your soil change. Also, the crop rotation can change your soil. Yes, the cropping patterns, and also the management practices. Maybe you are practicing tillage in your farming. It might affect your soil in one way or the other. So it's good you test your soil after 2 to 3 years, so that you know if there is any change and what you can add or apply to your soil in order to make it better.
Yeah, and also for those farmers who always go around buying lands, like you buy a land for farming practices, make sure that you know the history of that land before doing anything else. After knowing the history of that land, make sure you measure the soil pH before even employing the workers for them to do all those practices for farming. So when you employ them, test the soil. After testing it, is this soil, does it have ability to retain water? If it has ability to retain water, then well and good. If it is not fertile, then you have to act up and do something about it.
Yes, we also have technology. Nowadays, we are in a Generation Z world. Technology has taken over. This our current world. So Technology also have roles. Modern technology also have roles in soil testing. I don't know if you're going to take us through the roles.
Okay. One of the role of technology is precision sampling. Advanced GPS guided sampling equipment ensures that soil samples are taken from exact predetermined locations, enabling more consistent and representative sampling. So they take exact samples because they are guided by the equipment. Have you ever seen these kind of containers and then they contain the measurements? You see that there is 100, 200, 300 until 500. So similar containers, it contains certain measurements. So you will be able to, the person who told you to go and measure the soil will tell you, I need this amount of soil. Make sure that it goes up until this point. Then you'll be able to take this soil up to that point and then take it for measurements.
If at all you've heard about GPS, GPS is just like a tracking
device.
Yes, it's just like a tracking device. So advanced GPS guided sampling equipment, definitely it will help a lot because it's accurate. Ukisikia tracking, this is so accurate. So the use of the advanced GPS is definitely accurate. So precision sampling, the GPS can really help during the precision sampling. We have remote sensing. Leo naangukia to drones. Drones equipped with multispectral and hyperspectral cameras can capture data related to soil health, moisture content, and potential nutrient deficiencies from the air. This allows for quick, large-scale assessment without physically sampling every area. Drones, they normally fly, so they can easily collect data from up there.
Yes.
So use of drones can really help capture data that are related to soil health from the air, actually, because in one way or the other, air affects soil. Yes. One way or the other, there's a way that air affects soil. So the use of things like drone can really help collect data on things that affect soil, like the moisture content.
And also for farmers who have this capacity, this ability of buying drones, this is your chance. Buy these drones because it will make your work easier. First of all, it is time consuming because you will sit.
It is not time.
It is not. Sorry, it's not time consuming because you're just sitting there under your tree, under your shade, and then controlling your drone, seeing what is recording everything that is happening in your farm. So it is also good to use these drones. When there is automated lab equipments, modern analytical instruments can handle larger sample volumes. They produce results faster and detect nutrients and contaminants at much lower levels than older methods. Automated lab equipment, these are the ones that have emerged recently, the modern ones.
Automatic.
The automatic. So through the use of these, you are able to determine, you are able to get result very faster. You won't have to waste a lot of time saying that I'm going to plant next month after the result have come out. But through this, the use of automated lab equipment that are modern, you are able to analyze your data very easily
and very fast. Results come out. I don't know. Sometime back, before the automated lab equipment, let me drift a bit to the hospitals. You could go to the hospital and test a disease, and then you're told maybe to come after 2 weeks. Get the result.
It is very
nowadays, most of the, not all, but most of the diseases you can be tested and the results come out just immediately.
Yes, or they tell you go a day or so and then come back. But the others, it used to take a long time for the result to be diagnosed.
By the time the results are out, you are already healed. We have the digital soil maps. Geographic information system, that is the GIS technology, allows for the creation detailed digital soil maps, helping in spatial analysis and prediction of soil properties across a vast area. These are just the maps of different types of soils. When you visit the labs where they test the soil, you need these digital soil maps because they help a lot, and they also help the experts when determining the result of the soil.
And then there is portable on-site analyzers. Portable instruments like spectrophotometers. Spectrophotometers. It's a hard name.
Yes.
Enable farmers to conduct basic soil tests directly in the field, providing immediate results. These are very nice because they are, first of all, they are portable. You're able to carry it anywhere you want, especially for those people who have this job of conducting this kind of results. You are going to get a lot of money because you are going to test several farms in one day by just carrying your equipment. It is portable, it is light. So through this, the use of these portable on-site analyzers, the farmers are able to conduct basic tests directly in the field. You just call the expert, or if you have that equipment, you conduct it directly in the field. You don't have to go somewhere to carry the soil and then take it to the lab. You see, so this also minimizes the cost. It minimizes the cost because you're not going to pay the lab and then everything. You just call the person in charge of this portable on-site analyzer to come and test the soil in the farm. And the good thing is that you are getting the result immediately. Immediately they test, you are seeing that they are testing the soil. You are sure that your soil is being tested at that particular time. So through that, you are there, you are seeing what is happening. But in the lab, you can't go inside the lab and also expect to see what is really happening. But with these portable devices, you are able to stand there and see the person while he or she is conducting those kind of results. So you are getting immediate results.
Yes, so those are some of the roles of modern technology in soil testing. We have not exhausted all of them, but we'll try next time to exhaust the rest because this is just part one of our topic of the day. This topic is so broad, we can't finish it in one day or in one show.
Yes.
So we'll have a part two. Keep tuning on Friday. We'll have a part two of this topic.
Yeah, and you also feel like this is too much information for you guys, because if we tell you this and this and this, by the time we tell you even much, you would have forgotten the other one. So this is just like a break.
So we'll have a part two of it on our topic of soil testing and the importance of soil testing and nutrient management. This was a part one. On Friday, we'll have this same topic, but a part two of it.
Yeah, guys, continue following us on our social media account at Farmers Media in YouTube, at Farmers Media in Facebook, at farmersmedia.com, at www.farmersmedia.com on our website, and at Farmers with a Z in Twitter.
My co-host keeps on forgetting the website for the Farmers Media, but anyway, it's understandable. Yes. So I don't know if you have any last words.
For me, what I'll tell you is that thank you so much for dedicating us with your time. Thank you so much for patiently waiting there and listening to us. And thank you so much for trying to get this kind of education, because it is our happiness as a Farmers Media if you get to learn that you guys are getting something out of our sessions.
Yes, so we always have our proverb of the day. So our proverb of the day is, if you want to know the end, look at the beginning. If you want to know the end, look at the beginning. I'm so happy that you're able to join us during this show. I'm so glad that you were able to tune in and you are still with us up to now. We really appreciate that. You don't take it for granted. I'd like to appreciate our producer and our director, Dottie. I was about to call her Dottie. She doesn't like that. I appreciate our director, Dottie, our camera person, all those who are behind the scenes, and you enabled us to go on air up to this point. I really, really appreciate you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's all we had for you, our viewers, for the mid-morning show. Until tomorrow, keep tuning in for the Farmers Drive. We'll have the Farm Drive show with Boss Queen. I hope you'll also enjoy and get to learn a lot from the Farm Drive show. Ensure you stream in from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. But for us from the mid-morning show, that's all we had for you. I've been your host. I'm Mary Oswero.
And I am Regina Ayenai. Have a lovely day.